So what I plan to do is to discuss the S's, simple strategies to support sustained awareness in meditation. Meditation comes from the Pali word bhavana. Bhavana means to cultivate, to grow. Grow what? Awareness. Awareness of what? The present moment. You will hear that frequently throughout the day, that the main emphasis in this practice is to bring awareness to the present moment. And why is that helpful? Because the only place that really exists is now. What's gone on in the past is past. What's gone on or what may happen in the future has not arrived. So the only place that you can truly be present is in the present moment. And in bringing awareness to the present moment allows one to begin to cultivate the appreciation for the magic and mystery of what it is to be a sentient being, the capacity to be able to sense, and the capacity to appreciate what is being sensed. So when we meditate and bring our awareness to one object, we are creating the capacity to translate that into our daily life. The capacity to be aware of what is happening moment to moment. And there is one other wonderful advantage of having sustained awareness in meditation. When people meditate and have a sustained awareness practice, it creates functional and anatomic changes in our brain. When you are not focused, your brain immediately goes to what is called the default mode network. And when that happens, what do? You create a sense of self. You judge yourself, you criticize, you ruminate, and you amplify. So when you focus your attention in meditating, you're less likely to be judgmental and critical. Sustained awareness decreases the function of what's called the amygdala. The amygdala is the center for emotional reactivity and fear. When you meditate, you increase the function of what's called the frontal parietal network. This is executive function of your brain, self-regulation, planning, and memory. And as we age, the cortex, our brain tissue, begins to thin. And as we age, the telomeres, and those are caps on the end of chromosomes, shorten. When you meditate, what has been demonstrated that your brain, the cortical tissue, does not thin as much, and that the telomeres are preserved. So, might it be that we might live longer if we meditate? Maybe. So, let's do a focused breath awareness meditation. And I'm going to offer the S's, the strategies that can help sustain awareness on the breath, such that your mind will not wander as much. There's no way any of us are going to have a still and quiet mind, except for two possibilities: coma and death. And that's not what we're here to teach you about. So, first thing in the practice is to set the intention. May I have sustained awareness of the breath. Next, posture is critical. A spine that is still and silent and straight is very helpful in the practice. So just sit in your chair, feet flat on the floor, hands are either in your lap or on your thighs. But the critical aspect is your spine. And you want to have an upright but not uptight spine. It's straight, it's lifted. What happens as the meditation goes on? What happens to your posture? You know what happens? We collapse. Normally, there is a little bit of a curve in your lower spine. And maintaining that curve in your lower spine is very helpful in maintaining an upright posture. And having a chest that's open and shoulders back a little bit. Because there is a definite interrelationship between a calm body and a calm mind. And when you sit with an upright, strong, dignified position, that helps to support your resolve to meditate. I would invite you to shut your eyes. Some people meditate with their eyes open, which is fine. There are different ways to do this. But perhaps the value in shutting your eyes is you decrease that external stimuli that comes in and keeps you more alert. Bring your awareness to the sensations of your body. What you want to do when you start your meditation is you want to ground yourself into the present moment. And you do that by resting in your breath and resting in your body. And the way to do that is quickly to just bring your awareness from the soles of your feet to the top of your head. Are there any places of contraction? And if there are, allow yourself to feel the felt sense of that body sensation. And then finally, rest in your buttocks, the contact of your seat against the chair, and feel that support. Feel the physical sensations. Allow yourself to be grounded into the present moment. Spot. We need to bring a place where we focus our awareness on. It could be the tip of our nostrils, our chest, our abdomen, or our whole body. For this meditation, I would invite you to bring your awareness to the tip of your nostrils. This is a very focal and very sensitive spot that helps to anchor your awareness. What we're trying to do is to bring awareness to the physical sensations of the movement of the breath at the tip of the nostrils. This is not about conceptualization of the breath, what we think it is, but importantly, we are anchoring into the direct felt sense of the breath. and being open to the physicality of the breath is a wonderful way to keep yourself aware. Because no breath is the same as the next one. Every breath is different. Can you feel the coolness of the breath as you breathe in, and the warmth as you breathe out? Can you feel the pressure, tactile sensation in your nostrils as the breath moves in and out, that expansive and contractile feeling? So can you just allow yourself to bring awareness to the tip of the nostrils and feel the physical sensations of the movement of the breath as it comes in and as it comes out. It can be very difficult to follow a breath in its totality, from the beginning of the inhalation to the end of exhalation. If you examine the breath, you will notice that there are actually 4 segments to it. The in-breath, and then there's a slight pause. The exhalation, and a longer pause. I would suggest that what you try and anchor your awareness is not the total breath, but the total inhalation, from the beginning of the inhalation to the end of the pause at the end of inhalation. And then from the beginning of exhalation to the end of the pause at the end of exhalation. Break your awareness down into segments to allow for a greater possibility of sustaining awareness. One of the big problems we have in sustaining awareness is that when we get to that longer pause at the end of exhalation, we come to a place of stillness, of silence. We get the sense that there's nothing there. So there's nothing to maintain our anchor. But if you deliberately focus your awareness on that pause at the end of exhalation, you will recognize that that pause of stillness and silence is not nothingness. That there is a knowing of a quality of stillness and silence. And so by focusing your awareness on that spot, you will continue to maintain an anchor for your awareness. You're not trying to prolong the pause. You're simply bringing an observer to feel the pause and provide an anchor to sustain awareness through the segment of inhalation and the segment of exhalation. What does the pause feel like? When we breathe, this is not a forced, effortful, intentional breathing. It is a spontaneous breathing. We are simply allowing ourselves to be breathed by our body. We are there not to control the breathing, but simply to experience and feel the breathing. You will have multiple thoughts that will distract you. That is normal. That's the way our minds work. But when you come back to recognizing, oh my, I'm thinking, use that as a cue to say, time to go back to the breath. And finally, can you support your breath, your focused awareness, by either saying in and out quietly to yourself as you breathe in and out, or count your breaths, in for one, out for one, or in for one, out for two, or 1, 2, 3, in, 1, 2, 3, 4, out. So can you use these S's, these simple strategies to support sustained awareness of the breath? Setting the intention, a spine that is straight and still. Feeling the physical sensations of the body. And critically, being aware of the physical sensations of the movement of the breath at the tip of the nostrils, and following your breath through the segments of inhalation and exhalation with observation of the pause. So we're going to bring this meditation to a close. And I would just invite you to slowly open your eyes, move your body around in the chair to bring back some sense of presence and aliveness. So I'm curious, did any of you find any of those strategies of value or not of value in sustaining your awareness of the breath?
Focusing on the pause was something I had never done before.
So there is a sensation to stillness. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great way to continue anchoring. As we come into the pause is stillness, that's nothing. Your mind doesn't need very much to go somewhere else. But if you can continue that anchor, then it helps to keep your sustained awareness. So thank you. Anything else? Any other thoughts about this S's for sustaining your awareness?
I would say I felt the same with that space, but the quietness, but it was never an empty space for me. It was a special space, so it's nice to have the thought of the landing there as a grounding in that quiet. Because it puts more focus on that and makes more of a system and such.
So what you're saying is that that the stillness is still something.
It always has been for me. The stillness was a special place, but I never really used it as an anchor.
Right.
So that it was never an empty space, it was still a special space.
Right. And the great value in using the space as an anchor to sustain awareness. And again, it helps to support that idea of segments of breathing. It's very difficult to follow your breath from the beginning to the end. But if you can break it down, then that helps. You know, the pause at the end of inhalation tends to be a much shorter pause. Exhalation classically is longer than inhalation. The pause at the end of exhalation is longer than the pause of inhalation. So it's good to make that into one segment. Breathing in to the end of the pause. Breathing out, end of the pause. So really you're just looking for, when am I breathing in and when am I breathing out? But sustaining the awareness to stillness is really can be quite valuable.
I found that stopping at the end of the inhale was kind of unnatural. It was easier for me to get up to the end of the inhale.
Right.
Pause at the inhale. I always thought I was holding my breath for a second.
So for you, it was
The end, and then I could stop. Like it was kind of a little place.
yeah. So it's harder to stop at the end of inhalation and the pause and the end of
Yeah.
exhalation, and that is shorter. And yeah, I think you have to just experiment with it, because for some it almost was like, oh my God, I'm holding my breath, but that's not the intention. The intention is just to observe what you're experiencing, and the pause is a great way to help anchor your awareness. Deb?
I think I also sort of subconsciously see my breath as a line coming in, and it sort of curves around during the pause towards the exhalation.
So for you, there was almost a continuity. Yes. Yeah. Mitch?
So technically, are we box breathing?
This is not box breathing. Box breathing is you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you breathe out for 4, and you hold for 4. They are equivalent segments. I'm going to get into breathing later on. But when you breathe, which component is longer conventionally, inhalation or exhalation? Exhalation. We are not trying to control or manipulate the breath. We are just being breathed spontaneously by the breath. We are just the witness to what our bodies are doing. And conventionally, you will always, as a rule, breathe out longer than you breathe in. There is no deliberate holding of the breath at the end or at the beginning. End of inhalation, end of exhalation. You're just observing what is there without manipulation.
But you're asking us to hold it.
I'm not asking you to hold, I'm asking you to observe. There's a real difference. In observing, there will be some holding, but this is not a deliberate, intentional hold. And when I breathe in, and I come to the end of the pause on inhalation, it's a very short pause. And for some, it's the crest over the hill. For others, it's an awareness they've always known and experienced. But that's a very good point, Mitch. This is not an attempt to control and manipulate the breath. This is simply being present to what is there. And we're just observing what happens normally as we breathe in and breathe out. And we're allowing critically to feel the physical sensation of the movement of the breath. When you breathe in, can you feel the coolness of the breath against your nostrils? And as you breathe out, can you feel the warmth? For some, they can actually feel the distinction between dryness and wetness. We can all appreciate smoothness and irregularity of our breath. Is it loud? Is it quiet? The critical aspect is to focus our awareness on the physicality. What does the breath feel like? Because what we're doing is we are making what is ordinary into extraordinary. Another breath. Oh my God, do I have to do this again? It's all the same. I'm getting so bored of this. Well, let's see, what do I need to do for lunch today? Again, what you're doing is you're honing the capacity to see what is extraordinary about the present moment, what is unique about the present moment. And if we can make a breath extraordinary, God, imagine what we can do with a wonderful smell or a taste or a sensation. So meditation is this wonderful capacity to cultivate awareness and translate this awareness into our everyday life. Any questions more about? Yes, Lynn?
I wonder if anyone can explain physiologically what happens when the breath crests. Because I've wondered for a long time if a yawn or a sigh or even just focused, attentive inhalation, when the breath crests, there's this feeling of relief or release. And I'm just curious as to
So,
what happens in the
yeah, I can't physiologically explain that, but I do think it must reflect the change between carbon dioxide and oxygen saturation levels, the degree of sympathetic and parasympathetic tone as our diaphragm descends to its maximum point. So, thank you very much for willing to look at the S's simple strategies to sustain awareness. Experiment with that during the day. See how it goes.